Okay, so, sir, I'd like to ask you first, what does it mean to you to be here for this occasion?
Well, first of all, how honored I am to be part of the delegation representing the people of Canada as we pay our respects to a truly remarkable person. We shall not know her like again. And this is a time of both great sadness and great celebration. I'm told that this will be the largest number of people ever assembled in London for an event, and it's 1,000 years of constitutional history. And when I think of Her Majesty, I think of three things. One is her grace and graciousness, which you wouldn't see in the formal encounters, but in the personal interactions. She was wonderfully warm, wise, curious, gracious, and so on. And secondly, the leader as servant. She so exemplified that important concept in the world today, more than anyone I know. And thirdly was her great sense of values and faith, protection of the Constitution, but her faith was grounded in her Christian beliefs. But you know, if you look at all the great religions of the world, they have one thing in common, which is love thy neighbor or respect others as you respect yourself. And she really embodied that so well.
Sir, may I ask you what you're thinking of when you think about being inside for the funeral coming up on Monday? What weighs on your mind about that day?
Well, I think one is touched by being in the presence of the last time we can salute Her Majesty. And I think what it reflects in 1,000 years of British constitutional history. And our country, you know, is derived from the great legal institutions of France and of the United Kingdom, and we've fared well with them. We've evolved with changes and circumstances and so on, and I think what we have is a form of government that served us very well, the constitutional hereditary monarchy, which provides a stability and a certainty and a separation of the head of state function from the head of government function, with governments responsible for the business of managing a country, and the head of state function standing for the values and the constitutional rights and responsibilities. And she embodies that, and I think as I sit in Westminster Abbey, I will be very conscious of that and how well she fulfilled them. The last time Sharon and I were in Westminster Abbey was for a wonderfully joyous occasion. It was the marriage of Prince William and Princess Kate, and that was a time of great celebration.
And you are one of the rare Canadians who's had more than one chances to meet the Queen. Is there anything you'd like to share about your reflections of time with Her Majesty?
So many I could tell you about, especially the graciousness, which one doesn't know from afar, but we were so privileged to come to know her. I was just at Trafalgar Square giving an interview on the steps of Canada House, which looks out into Canada. I was saying the last time I was here with Her Majesty was 2012. It was the Diamond Jubilee, and we had just been inside unveiling a portrait of her. It was unveiled. She didn't say anything. I thought, my heavens, she's not going to like it. And then she said to me, do you think you have a place to fit a portrait that large at Rideau Hall, at the Government House, the House of the People of Canada? I said, yes, I think in the throne room it'll do very well, Her Majesty, and that was it. But as we're coming out of the High Commission office, out into Trafalgar Square, we went down a series of steps, and on the red carpet was on the steps. On the second last step, there was quite a wrinkle in the carpet, and I was about a foot behind her. And I thought, my heavens, her foot is going right to that wrinkle and she's going to stumble. And I know the convention, you don't touch the Queen, but my mother's voice was speaking from heaven saying, if you don't take that lady's elbow, I'll never speak to you again, my son. So I took her elbow and she was fine and steadied her. She got down. The next morning, the London newspapers were all over colonial, strange person that doesn't understand the conventions. How can that be? Breach of protocol. And a little later, we got a message from the private secretary that the Queen wanted to advise the Governor-General that it's wonderful to know that chivalry is alive and well in the United Kingdom. That's Her Majesty.
And if I just may, one more question, I'd like to ask you, we know it was the Queen's wishes to have a representation of Canadians and members of the Commonwealth here for this event, and you've had a chance to spend time with the rest of the Canadian delegation. I'm wondering what you'd like to share about that and what it says about the Queen to have such a wide variety of people here.
Well, I think it's a 20-member delegation led by the Governor-General and the Prime Minister, and I think it's the largest number of people in. So 2,000 who are going to be there in Westminster Abbey, so it's very selected. But it represents a broad diversity of the Canadian population. And I think she would be very pleased at that. One should be careful about saying what her preferences were, but it's clear that the people of Canada had a very special place in her heart. 22 visits to Canada, more than any other place in the realm, and she loved Canadian people and she loved the values, and it's wonderful to be here reflecting them on her Monday.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Anything else you'd like to add before I pass it to my colleague in French?
No, c'est bon.
C'est bon. Thank you. Thank you.
Monsieur Johnston, vous avez vu les gens ici, il y a beaucoup de monde. Qu'est-ce que ça vous amène comme réflexion?
Ça, c'est remarquable de voir les couples ici, la population. On m'a dit que c'est la plus grande concentration des peuples pour un événement ici à Londres pour 1000 ans, le plus grand. Et c'est très touchant de voir les peuples rang upon rang sur rang, sur le fleuve Thames ici. Ça fait 5000 par exemple. Je ne sais pas si ce serait possible pour tout le monde là de voir la reine dans une place à Westminster. Mais pour moi, c'est très touchant, très remarquable de voir cette démonstration d'amour, de fidélité et de dire adieu.
À votre avis, qu'est-ce qui suscite une telle vague d'amour pour la reine? Qu'est-ce qui entraîne ça?
Pour moi, il y a trois caractéristiques qui sont très importantes. Premièrement, c'est la compassion et la touche humaine, très en base. En anglais, on dit grace and graciousness. Elle reflète là dramatiquement. Deuxièmement, c'est le leader comme servant. Le concept de leader qui sert tout le monde. Sans arrogance. Et c'est un exemple qui est très important pour le monde aujourd'hui. Et le troisièmement, ce sont les valeurs et leur fidélité et foi, faith. C'est un faith qui est centré sur les valeurs des chrétiens, et particulièrement le parabole de le bon samaritain, qui a comme message avoir l'amour pour vos voisins. Et qui est vos voisins? Ce n'est pas simplement les peuples qui sont très proches, mais tout le monde, particulièrement les personnes qui sont dans cette différence. Elle a rempli sa mission d'élargir leur réception, leur bienvenue pour tout le monde, qui est très important aussi.
Est-ce que vous pensez que le roi Charles va pouvoir atteindre ça?
Il n'est pas la même personne comme sa mère, c'est premièrement. Il est préparé pour longtemps maintenant et elle a pris les leçons d'une personne qui a montré la meilleure qualité d'un monarque. Alors, je suis très heureux de voir le roi Charles commencer ses responsabilités. Et ça sera une succession très simple, je pense, pour nous. Et je pense qu'il sera une personne qui a le grand respect pour les Canadiens et il sera bon dans son place.
C'est beau pour moi. Est-ce que vous voulez rajouter quelque chose?
C'est bon. Merci.